everyone. Thank you all for being here at the Booksmith. Raise your hand if you've never been to this bookstore before. Incredible. Thanks for joining us tonight. For those of you who have never been here, Booksmith has been here for 46 years in the neighborhood. We have been at this location just for a little over a year solely. We had two spaces going on. Some of you might know this was the bindery for a while. Anyways, enough about all that. Well, yeah, we were across the street just a block over for 35 years, and it's confusing enough for some of us who've been here for a while that sometimes we find ourselves walking to the wrong block. But it's really nice to have everything here. We love this space and hope you do too. But tonight, we are, of course, here to celebrate the highly anticipated debut from Berkeley's own Allison Landa, Bearded Lady. And I want to start by just, yes. She's joined tonight by extra special guest, Marcus Banks, a prince if ever there was one, who has flown out from New York tonight to speak with Allison and celebrate this book. Yes, let's hear it from Marcus, you guys. Yeah, without further ado, I want to introduce tonight's stars. I'll start with Allison and move to Marcus, and then I'll get out of the way. So Allison Landa's work has been featured in Business Insider, Parents Magazine, The Guardian US, The Washington Post, and HuffPost, Personal, among other venues. She wrote Bearded Lady as an account of life with congenital adrenal hyperplasia. Landa teaches at the Writing Salon in San Francisco, has been a member of the San Francisco Writers Grotto, and earned her MFA in fiction writing from the wonderful St. Mary's College of California program. She lives in Berkeley, California, where she works as a writing teacher and coach. And Marcus Banks is a health journalist who covers developments in cancer treatments for various outlets. Once he was a librarian, but got tired of people thinking that means he just read all day. Although that, of course, would have been nice. He's also Allison's good friend. They first met in 2007 as a part of a book club that gathered in Elmwood's now defunct Espresso Roma, just as Bearded Lady was taking shape. They've stayed in touch through several cross-country moves, and it's Marcus's delight to be in conversation with Allison as part of this book launch. And so before I turn it over to Marcus, I just want to say that I am personally very happy to be here tonight. Allison is one of the first people I met when I moved to San Francisco in 2009, and I've had the pleasure of sharing literary community with her over the years, of publishing some of her work, including early excerpts from this book as part of the series Quiet Lightning, and Booksmith has hosted her series On the Cusp here numerous times back when it was the bindery, and we had a little bar right here, and those were some fun times. The bar is next door, but it's closed on Tuesdays, so I know, I've been petitioning for this to change. Because books come out on Tuesday. It's like, guys, the left arm needs to talk to the right arm here. So I just want to say it's one of the great joys of my job here to be here at the moment that a book enters the world, especially when I've had the privilege of watching its trajectory, guided by the hands and the heart of a friend. So proud of you, Allison. Before I start bawling, I'm going to turn things over to Marcus. I'm not trying to make you cry also, though. Y'all, please show some love for Allison Landa and Marcus Banks.
Sorry, kiddo.
All right. Okay.
So I could take this off now. Thank you, everybody. I just personally want to say that this is a huge moment, and I will cry. But I want to thank you all for being here, and I especially want to thank my family. And I want to thank Marcus for coming all this way. I mean, we've been friends for a long time, and I really want to thank you. So many people from so many stripes in my life are here, including Evan, who has been a wonderful part of the literary community. Anybody in San Francisco literary community understands the significance of you. So thank you so much. And to everybody who took time out of their day to come here today, I just want to say thank you. And yes, I will probably cry. So, so I'll turn
That's
it over to
fine.
you.
It's fine if you cry. So just to explain how we're going to do it, it'll be conversation, and then Allison will read passages. So she'll end up reading 3 different parts from the book. punctuated by some questions and comments. So I guess the opening section is, why would people want to write a memoir in general? Why expose themselves to it? And why did you particularly want to write Bearded Lady?
I mean, people like to torture themselves. It's a thing. No, for me, this is the story I always wanted to tell. I think we all have a story. And that story can be comprised of many stories, but I think we all have that one story that needs to come out. This was my story. And I was like, I'll never tell it. I'll never write it. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. When I was in graduate school at St. Mary's College of California with the wonderful Thomas Cooney presiding, I was like, okay, I think I want to write this, but I'm really fucking scared to write it. And what happened was I was in a nonfiction class with my mentor, Wesley Gibson, and he had us write down an idea for a story. And I was like, oh, shit, this is going to kill me. And I went and I talked to Adam about it. I talked to my husband about it. I was like, I'm going to do it. And so I wrote down what I wanted to write, and I gave it to Wesley. And the next day I came in, and I was like, oh, God, I don't even want to look at him. And all he said was, sweetheart, go for it. That was it. He just said, sweetheart, go for it. And that was in 2005. So this is all this to say, it's okay, honey.
Boz is extremely excited.
Boz is very excited. All this to say, it's possible. It's possible to tell a story. It's possible to tell your story. And I think memoir is really important. I think it's huge. And I wanted to be part of that conversation. And to be part of that conversation is amazing. So that's what I wanted.
So, yes, so without further ado, maybe the first reading. We're going to end up having 3 tonight. This is the first one.
Okay.
We divided them into what we called acts, just to be very formal. So this is the Act 1 reading.
Act 1. Whoa, and I just dropped my button. Thank you, my friend. Yes, my button that says, what does it say? My butt stuff?
Yes.
It says butt stuff. Yes, now we all know that I have a button that says butt stuff.
Yes. Yeah.
Morning, and I'm making my way down the path that leads to the clinic's front door. I'm walking through a rock garden, past beds of flowers, little miniature waterfalls whose tinkling makes me want to pee. I feel that I'm walking down a hallway, and the damn thing keeps getting longer and longer. I've seen horror films like this. Just when you think you've reached the end, you find that the end is out of your reach. Just when I start thinking it's a sign, there it is, the front door. Damn, 2 fewer steps in the fog, and I could have given up, left, called when I got home. Sorry, couldn't find it. We'll call back to reschedule. I could have never rescheduled. I could have never had to face the voice on the phone, that sweet, down-to-earth tone that belongs to, "Hi," the woman says. "My name is Jessica." She's not what I expected. Pudgy with braces, heavy eyebrows, a little roll of fat bulging beneath her shirt, which says oil of Olay spelled out in little rhinestones. The front lobby is comfortable. That sucks. I wanted it to feel sterile to the point of hostility. Stripped down and yet at the same time hatefully designed savvy. Leather couches and subtly lit mirrors, a smoke machine maybe, a medical spa version of a disco, a bachelor pad in shades of black, white, and gray, metrosexual and clinical. It looks like the kind of place where you'd want to house sit. Warm, soft tones, an olive-colored rug on the floor, a glass-topped coffee table with copies of Rolling Stone and Harper's, a large, cushy-looking couch striped in olive and beige with tons of pillows, faces off against a flat-screen television set. "Is this where you do the face stapling?" I asked Jessica. "Nope," she says, and leads me into a private room. This is what I expected. White on white, not even a Thomas Kincaid knockoff to lighten things up. Excellent. "Have a seat," she says, and I perch on the exam table. I picture myself prone on this thing, eyes shut, nails digging into palms. She offers me a drink. Jim Beam, perhaps? I opt for a Diet Coke and roll the cold can between my moist palms. The air in here smells like nothing at all. It's as if they deep clean the oxygen between appointments. For all I know, they do. She pulls out a drawer, a clipboard, a piece of paper, and a Valentine-colored pen. She uncaps the pen, and I notice the short, unpainted nails on her stubby fingers. There's something endearing about her hands, something natural and undiminished. She marks a diagram, drawing with red ink on the blank, expressionless example. She's a lefty. Full face, she says, tapping the paper with the pen's tip. It's still uncapped. She's giving the paper diagram freckles, acne, upper lip, she says, chin, cheeks, the whole pickle. I bite my lip hard enough to draw blood, not from nerves, but to reassure myself that I'm here, I'm alive, I'm doing this. And I should just stop here and say that the beauty of memoir is that I can bring this story to you. This happened to me eons ago. It happened more than 20-something odd years ago. And here I am telling it to you, and that's the beauty of memoir. Jessica puts down the clipboard and fixes me with a metallic smile. They make invisible braces, I think. Why didn't she go that route? Then I flush, angry with myself. You're judging her? 6 sessions, she says, at least. 6 sessions at $300 a session. If I go for the package, it's $1,500 total. 1 free treatment, a laser hair removal value meal. Jessica, I say, I've been to 2 doctors. Neither of them could fix me. If I pay you $1,500, can you make me look like a girl? She says, let me tell you how it works. The technician uses a handheld laser instrument. It sends a light beam through the skin. The beam seeks melanin, a pigment found in hair, and particularly in dark, coarse hair like mine. It hits and destroys the hair follicle. Cooling gel protects the skin. Topical cream and aspirin minimize pain. The laser light works best for people with dark hair and fair skin. Dark hair and fair skin, that's me. That's Jessica, too. She tells me how her hairy arms made her feel like something out of a freak show. No more, she says, rolling up her sleeves. Now there's just smooth, freckled skin. Her eyes are warm. Trust me, they say. I'm very happy. She says, so are my clients. Clients, not patients. Client means choice. It means you're the boss. We're on, I say. She shows me a video. The background music is something you'd expect to hear from a violinist at a wedding, self-conscious and self-important. A brunette in a tank top walks in, smiling. Smiling? She sits in a high-back chair, crosses her legs, and leafs through a magazine. Smash cut, a white-coated technician smirking into the camera. When you've got unwanted hair, she says, you're not living your life to the fullest. I feel like I know what's going to happen next. The brunette lies prone on an exam table. She's grimacing, crying beneath the dark goggles that prevent her from being blinded by the laser. She digs her nails into her thin thighs, begs the technician to stop, but the laser keeps flashing. I turn the video off before it can hit that surreal moment. In the exam table, Jessica hands me a popsicle stick with cooling gel. I swipe it across every problem area. My pupils are dilated with worry, my left eyelid twitching. Hop up, she says, patting the exam table. I do this with emotion that is nothing like hopping. It is more like a walk to the guillotine. Lie back, she says, and I lower my head until it is level with my feet. Hold these, she says, and places a cotton ball in each of my eyes. She pins them with the goggles, and in this moment, I learn that I'm claustrophobic. Blinded, I feel trapped, boxed. I gasp for air, but try to do it quietly. When I activate the laser, I'll say pulse, Jessica says. That way you'll know what's coming. Behind me, the machine hums into life. The sound is background to the pulse that beats in my chest, wrists, and temples. You ready, Jessica asks. I think about the plane that will take me to Europe. What if a wave of claustrophobia rolls over me in that second before the doors shut? Will I make for the exit before my lungs shut down entirely? Make it quick, I say. It is not quick. It takes an hour, and that is made bearable only by a break halfway through. My hands dig into the crinkly white paper beneath me. I feel one of my fingernails pierce the surface, and it's almost like permission to scream. I moan instead. How you doing, Jessica asks. It feels like someone scraped my face with the blunt, rusty side of an axe, then sprayed it with lemon juice. Fine, I say. It's true. I trawled the internet to find out just how much this was going to hurt. Like a rubber band snapping, said one message board. Another warned of a little stinging, a little swelling. One laser clinic's website advised that patients might feel a slight prickling or a burning sensation. Let me post on those message boards. I'll give a rebuttal to that fucking clinic. It feels like someone's going fishing in my face, I'd write, and Captain Ahab is as sadistic as they come. The laser feels like a roving hook. Each time it bites into my face, I hear a beep, beep, beep. That's the beam seeking the follicle. Once found, it goes zap. That's the hair frying. Not only can I feel it, I can also smell it. Jessica, I say, talk to me, tell me anything. I don't care what you tell me as long as you can distract me. Well, she says, a few weeks ago, my boyfriend and I went to a sex club.
This was the Bay Area.
This is very true. Sorry, that was well timed.
Yeah.
They had to wait in line. There were rules, no cameras, no drugs, and God, no giggling. Downstairs there was this dude. He was all strapped into a sling, naked as a jay, pulse, except for his hipster glasses. The guy's clothes lay under the sling, folded military style, all corners matching. He had his dick in his hand, half hard, not so much jerking it as playing with it, reassuring himself that it was still there. Looked like he'd just come from some startup job, she says. Pulse, pulse. Phil called him the dot-comer. I pictured Jessica and her boy floating around the power exchange. I'm jealous. We didn't screw there, she says, if you're wondering. I'm not. I kind of was. What I do wonder is whether he tucked his arm around her waist, played with her black curls, kissed her lips. I'm wondering if he loved and accepted her even before she lazed off the fuzz that decorated her arms. Just about there, Jessica says. You okay? Outside this clinic, lovers are having late morning breakfasts. Bikers and joggers huff past. Tennis partners square off. Drivers pump gas at the Chevron. Mothers squat in front of strollers and shake fingers. What I wouldn't do, what I wouldn't give to be any one of them. Hurry, I say. Oh, sorry. I waited a little too long.
Go ahead.
Hurry, I say. 4 more, she says. I'll count them down. Pulse. I bite my lip, curl my toes, remind myself of why I'm doing this. Pulse. No more razors in the morning, pulling my skin this way and that to get the closest cut. No more second shave of the day, the hair so thick and persistent it grows back even as it's shorn. Pulse. No more stubble, no more shadow. Pulse. No more walking in a room and wondering, are they looking at me? Done. Jesus, I say. I pull off the goggles. Light, beautiful, blessed. I struggle to sit up. My tailbone is tentative, unsure if it's able to hold me. My head is runny, my brain muddled. My face is a balloon expanded with too much air. Hand me a mirror, I say to Jessica. All my politesse, my good girl training has vaporized in this moment. I need to see what's been done to me. You don't look so bad. Hand me the damn thing. She hands it over. There I am, my eyes red and wet above my inflamed skin. The singed hairs are everywhere, some already falling out. I brush at them in triumph. I look great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, one of the great things about that passage is the specific details, like the oil of Olay rhinestones, patient compared to client. I guess just a little bit about, not exactly how many drafts, but what was the process that went into that we just heard, and also kind of perhaps what were we trying to convey there, the process and your goal with that section.
I love that question. The process was, the process was first I told my husband what happened. And I had never told anybody. I had never breathed a word to anybody about what happened to me before I went to Europe. Nobody knew. And so one day I just broke down and told him. And after that, it was like, I need to write about this. This needs to happen. I need to write about this. And wrote draft after draft after draft. And it wasn't right and it wasn't right. And then eventually it was. And what I was trying to convey there is the feeling of absolute vulnerability and fear, and just pushing through it and saying, fuck it. You know what? I'm going to do this. I don't want to feel this way anymore. Like, I can't do this anymore. I need to feel different. I need to feel better. And it took a long time to even understand what I wanted to say. It took a long time to get there. And I think that in writing, it takes us a long time to figure out what the hell we want to say. We just know we want to say it. And when you want to say it, you're already on the right path. So that was, once I knew that I wanted to say it, I won't say easily, but I got to the point where I knew how to say it. But yeah, draft after draft. My husband read draft after draft. And there were many times that you said, that's not your best. Many times I heard that's not your best. It's not your best work. I'm like, okay, fuck you. It's not my best work. So, and that's how eventually it became right.
Yeah, right. Patience, right? I mean,
Patience.
17 years. The whole thing,
17
yeah.
years.
So now the next reading, Act 2.
Act 2. This is where I know I need reading glasses. I mean, I can read it, but I'm like, my God, I need reading glasses. Okay. Act 2. Oh, I'm good. Thank you. I might, though, at some point. I might. Barcelona feels like glass, scattered and shattered along a wave-licked coastline, seductive and perilous. Tina and I check into a hotel on Calle Ferran, a ritzy, narrow street still canopied by Christmas decorations strung from light post to light post. The place is undergoing an extensive remodel. The lobby is a vast swath of half-stuccoed walls, hanging plastic sheets, and a continual din of banging, drilling, and what sounds like a cacophony of Spanish swear words. Funny, Tina muses. It's looked a little different on the website. You mean like somewhere habitable? Yeah, but we've got no choice. Unless we want to sleep in an ATM enclosure, we're hauling our crap up to the room and we're liking it. The room in question reeks. It's a corpse-like stench originating from an alley filled with overflowing trash cans, an essence of sour milk, and decomposing potato peelings. We flop on our separate beds. I guess I should call him, I say. Kick yourself in the head, she says, flopping on her bed and lighting a cigarette while lying on her back. From the sound of your voice, I guess it'll be more pleasant for you. I gesture toward the cigarette. She hands it to me. I take a puff, suppress the cough, and hand it back. Then I realize she's looking up at me. I sit down on my narrow bed. What would she have named her child? Does she have regrets? Who doesn't? No, I say. Might as well get it over with. It feels like the walls of the room are pressing in on me, crushing my internal organs. My vision blurs. Why these emotions, this trip across the world? It's not love. It's something entirely different. It's seeing someone as a vessel, a container to be filled with one's own hopes and fantasies. Chase the vessel and you chase a mirage. Cross that desert and drink from an empty golden cup. Suit yourself, Tina says, and flips on the TV. On screen, Bart Simpson widens his eyes and exclaims, "Ay, caramba." My whole body feels like a sigh, like I'm chasing something that's outpacing me. I think about my father with his paperwork, my mother with Bill. My father still buries himself in his taxes months before the actual due date, and Bill still lives with my mother. They keep me at arm's length, but if I think about it, I return the favor. That's not love either, not my definition at least. I pull a piece of paper from my pocket. I've scribbled Matt's phone number there, enough digits to choke a damn donkey. How many numbers here do people need here to reach each other? Dígame, he says. Talk to me. That's how the Spanish answer the phone. I heard it in the hotel lobby, in the cafes and restaurants where we stopped on the drive here. It's said now in a familiar voice, a statement awaiting a response. Hello, I say. I don't know when we stopped identifying ourselves on the phone. Somewhere along the way, we just learned each other's voices. Hey, he says, clipped and cautious, but oh so familiar. ¿Qué pasa? I might as well try to speak his new language. I'm on the beach, he says. I'm with a Spanish friend. A concrete block blow hits me full in the face, then pulls me back and slams me sidelong. I close my eyes. My hands quiver. Friend, I say. Beach. How's your trip going, he says. Of course he's seeing someone. What's stopping him? Haven't been thrown off the continent yet, I say. Give it time. Fuck you. Our banter finds its regular, reliable beat. Is this what I've come all the way for? Our conversation? So, I say, and there are no other words. Things are changing quickly, too quickly. I can't keep up. I'm huffing, out of breath. Soon I will stop and lean against a wall, and then I will be left behind forever. And we're meeting up tonight? Tonight, I say. New Year's Eve? Tina sighs and turns on her side. I can feel her watching me through the back of her head as she smokes. We arrange a time and place. We'll meet in the hotel lobby at 9 p.m. One more thing, he says, and his voice goes lower, confidential. Is your room nice? It's okay, I say, if you like design inspired by Kosovo. Is it? And he pauses, as if he too is unsure of his words, as if maybe in the months he's spent abroad he's already shed half his English. Is it big? Roomy? Suddenly I'm aware of every ounce of pain I've carried throughout this journey. It comes in a wave with a single realization. This fucker is looking for a place to crash. Why did you tell him yes? Tina asked after I hung up. I didn't tell him yes. You didn't say no. I didn't say anything. I sit down on my bed and start cracking my knuckles one by one. Stop that, it's disgusting. It's what a shrink would call a nervous habit. It's what I call nasty. Cut it out. I bite my lip and feel the flesh swell beneath my teeth. I bite hard, harder. I can't bring forth enough pain. The sensation feels like a phantom, something sitting just on the other side of the wall from reality. Look, she says, the car sleeps one. Let him go sack out in there. He has a girlfriend, I say, and stupidly start to cry. Oh, shit, Tina says. Her face is set in lines of empathy, her eyes soft. Yet at the same time, there is a hardness. I recognize that the anger is directed at him, not me. How come I can't feel it, too? She reaches out a hand to me, and I stand up, move away. I feel radioactive, something not to be touched. I'm going for a walk, I say. Calle Ferran leads me cobblestone by cobblestone toward Las Ramblas, the weaving spine of central Barcelona. Where Ferran is a narrow street, a glorified alley, really. The Ramblas are the city's wide, dense grab bag. I pass tourist shops, tapas joints, and the erotic museum. I have no interest in any of this. Take San Francisco's Market Street, give it a Spanish accent and a few more pickpockets, and I could have saved the plane fare. A wide median in the middle of the street beckons with flower stalls, street performers, and crowds. I cross the street to reach it, cutting off small cars whose honking horns sound like the distant cry of seagulls, and find myself face to face with a caged rooster. Its eyes are nothing like my father's. They're scared, alert, searching. It opens its mouth, and the sound emerges as a moan. It is a feminine keening, the fractured cry of heartbreak. Soon this bird will be sold. It will change hands and leave its cramped quarters for another home. It will be held captive and then consumed. Its fate is written. And ours? All of Barcelona seems to freeze around me in the moment. Even the heavens hesitate, the clouds pausing in their sweep across the sky. If our fate is written, could it be on our own handwriting? You're not coming, he says. It's half question, half statement. No, I say. Across the hotel room, Tina's lips quirk in a grin. Any particular reason? Because I mutilated myself for you. Because I loved you, yes I did. And you abandoned me in every way possible. It would be one thing if I were alone here, thinking the familiar could comfort me. But it's the familiar that's drawing and quartering my heart. No, I say. Bullshit, Landa. You have something you want to tell me? Yeah, I feel both envy and empathy for you. Your phone calls made me happy and scared. You touched something inside of me, took it back, and now I want it back. Our fate is not written, I say. Are you high? We can choose where we go and what we do, you know? I do know. You're definitely high. And I'm choosing, I say, to say fuck you. Again, that freeze. Tina sits motionless on the bed. The silence stretches at the other end of the phone line. Even the room's stench takes a momentary breather. Fuck you? Yeah, fuck you. Am I missing something? All I want right now is a boy to rub my neck. I want his fingers right where I keep all my tension, at that nape. I want him to look at me with something like a mixture of love and curiosity. I need him to know me, to accept what I am, even if it's not a neatly wrapped package, especially because it's not. Landa, he says, look, I've seen every side of you. You know that? Every fucking side. Every side? He's seen me gossiping at work, giggling and drunk at the pub. He's seen me thoughtful while discussing Bukowski and the Beatles, furious as I am in this moment. He's even glimpsed a slice of this good girl's core, the one who says please and thank you in restaurants and bars. But every side? You know what, I say. Maybe I've been high for a long time. Maybe I'm just now sobering up. The connection goes dead. I'm the one who cut it off.
So I think, as we know, with any good memoir, it has to be honest, even if and you and I have talked a lot about that, how the reader can always tell if it's fake or you're trying to put on, it's either too sweet or too whatever, but this is honest. So what do you think about, again, writing that and also the kind of the ethics of memoir, if you will, as exemplified in that passage?
Oh, the ethics are so sticky. They're so sticky. I wrangle with them and I don't even know if I did it right. when it came to writing about this particular person who was my first love, at first I didn't want this in the book. At first I was like, this is not part of the book. This is not part of the story. I'm not interested in it being in there. And I was in a writing group at the time, and a friend looked at me and said, you know, Landa, you're my friend and all, but I want to feel your pain. And I looked at him and I said, oh, fuck you. And he said, no, really. Like, I want to feel your pain. And this is the story that makes you feel your pain. And I was like, oh, shit. And, you know, the ethics, like I said, I don't know that I did it right. Like, it's really hard to write about other people, knowing that they may read it, knowing that they are out there. And I don't know if he's going to read this. I'm still in touch with this guy, and I don't know if he's going to read it. And I'm...
But Boz will read it. He absolutely will read it.
I love you, honey. What about me? He has great timing, my kid. He has wonderful timing. Yes, Alcatraz. He's into street names now, so he talks about Alcatraz. It's everybody makes the decision for themselves. Everybody says, this is what I'm going to say, and this is what I'm not going to say. Some people decide to go and tell people, I'm writing about you. Some people don't. I was the person who didn't. I was the person who said, you know what? This is my story. I'll tell it as I please. And there might be some fucking blowback from that. I might get an email from Marin saying, what the fuck is wrong with you? And you know what? I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. But I know that there's a real freedom in telling your story. And other people are part of your story. That's just reality. So if it pisses people off, you have to live with that.
Right. Yes. So I think we have one more reading, and then, as Evan said, there'll be audience questions. So here's the final reading.
All right, Act 3. You said you don't snore, Adam says, pointing. Tell the truth. Just during sex. That's normal, I say. We're punching each other's shoulders and generally annoying everyone in the waiting room when the door... Okay, honey, chill out. That's wonderful, babe. We're punching each other's shoulders and generally annoying everyone in the waiting room when the door swings open. I hear my name. This is it. Call it a moment of truth. Call it a step in the right direction. Call it a simple meeting between two people, one in the position to look at the other and say, here's what's wrong. The nurse leads me in. She's a wash of white capped by olive skin countenance. Adam stays behind in the waiting room, thumbing through Esquire. It's either that or Women's Health. Then there are the preliminaries, temperature, height, weight. I step backward on the scale because I know the number is larger than I'd like. I'm larger than I'd like. And why deal with it today? The nurse just smiles and shrugs, makes a few notations, leads me into an exam room and closes the door. I sit on a chair that feels more comfortable than it looks. I narrate the scene to myself. Here we are, moment of reckoning, come face to face with it. If only there were a mirror so I could dramatically intone the words to myself. I address the cabinet that holds hospital gowns, the sink, the examination table. You're going to leave your bra and underwear on and lie on that thing. The gown won't close in the back because they're designed for torture. His stethoscope will hunt you down like a predator. I'm immersed in my makeshift script when I hear a cursory knock. Dr. Clinton Young steps into the room. His handshake is firm and fast. He is that variant of middle age that somehow seems more vibrant than an adolescent, the 65-year-old who still skis, jogs, and climbs Mount Everest before breakfast. Where are the craggy, out-of-shape doctors who smoke menthols over your chart? That's who I want examining me. I've reviewed your chart, he says by way of introduction. Okay, I say. My voice sounds put on, like the town whore trying to be the good girl. It's not working. For a moment, I can't recall the chart he's referencing, and then I realize I've had my Santa Barbara medical records forwarded for his review. Dr. Young spreads the pages along the exam table, and we both hunker over them. Off the charts, he says. I feel what I always feel in those moments. Guilt. Like I've done something wrong, screwed up my body, and left the mess for someone else to repair. I'm an overachiever, I say. He doesn't laugh. He picks up his clipboard and clicks open a pen. Your mother, he says, still alive? Yes, thank God. I mean no sarcasm here. It's a primal thing, primal and maybe something more. Any significant history of medical problems? It took her 3 years to get pregnant with me. I grew up hearing about all the lab tests she'd undergone, all the medications, all the work they'd done on her, and pictured her body as a construction zone, foundation of concrete, smell of fresh lumber, walled off from the world by an electrified fence and a warning sign. Your father? Healthy as hell. If I'd seen the son of the bitch sick, I'd never remember it. Siblings? Both fine. We're all fine, really. No mud-eating poverty, no crutches. A series of scribbles and scratches. Your father or brother significantly taller than you? They're 6 feet, I'm 5 feet. I'm not tall enough to reach the top shelf, but not short enough to be considered a circus freak. He puts down the clipboard. This is it. This is when he's going to say that he's stepping out of the room for a moment. Here's a hospital gown and a wrap for your waist. Please be seated on the exam table after you've changed. The questioning is one thing. I don't like it, but I can talk all day long. Just don't ask me to take my clothes off. Don't make me expose myself. He reaches for a lab slip and starts to write. The congenital adrenal hyperplasia diagnosis is pretty solid, he says. I'm going to send you down for some blood work to establish a baseline. I'll call you after you get the results. Any questions? Just one. Why can't all doctors' appointments be this quick?
All right. So yes, thanks everybody, and I think Evan says there's an amazingly long microphone cord. So
That's right.
So
That's right.
Everybody will be.
Yeah, if you have a question, just raise your hand. I'll come on over to you.
So you mentioned that the second passage you read was one that was really difficult to write. What was the passage in the book or the part of the book that just flowed, that was just easy?
I love that question. Like, what? In the beginning, I talk about my family. And I have been in therapy for 86 million years. So it was really fucking easy. Like, it was like, I can do this. I can write about how crazy my family is, how fucked up they are. But more than that, I had processed it. And that's super important. It's super important to get that distance and that perspective, which, I was thinking about parenthood the other day, and writing about parenthood is so hard because you're so close to it. You're so fucking close to it that getting that distance and that perspective from that kid is really hard. So I had distance and I had perspective, and it just was pretty easy.
Great question. Others?
Hi there. Hi, Allison. Thank you. I'm speaking as a writing composition instructor. My students read both fiction and nonfiction, and I ask them to think about their lives and how, and we talk about how you have to a certain extent, embellish or imagine into your own reality or real experience to make it, interesting to read for others, because it sounds sort of mundane or boring, perhaps. So what I'm asking, is there a imaginative arc or discovery that you could share with me as a teacher?
An imaginative arc or discovery. Wow. I've never thought about that. I mean, the idea of imagining into yourself is so nonlinear. It's an arc, but it's an arc with jagged spikes.
The poetry of it.
It's the exactly. It's the poetry of it, and it's just like it doesn't seem to make sense until it does. And even as I'm reading this right now, it doesn't make perfect sense to me, even as I'm sitting here reading it to you. So I think that it's actually helpful to know that there may not be one. There could be one. I mean, the arc comes from the everyday. The arc comes from things that may not even be about the writing. For me, it's about parenthood and marriage and dog ownership and all these things that I've done that sort of tangentially relate to what I've written about. The details. Exactly. And it's the further away that it gets from the writing itself, the more I actually learn from it. But when I'm writing, it just makes no fucking sense. And I just totally want to underscore that, because I talk to people all the time who are like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing. And I'm like, neither do I. Who does? Raise your hand. If anybody here knows what they're doing, I'd like to know your secret. So I don't, but Toby, I love that question. And I think and if I come up with anything else, I'll email you. Yes, I love that question.
Hey, Allison.
Thomas.
So this is going to seem really meta, but the first act that you read was present tense.
Yes.
And I'm sure you did versions where it was past tense.
Mm-hmm.
And why did you choose present tense? Do you feel it's a way of saying it's still with me and I'm not totally over it? If I put it in past tense, then I'm over it. And you certainly can't get over all of this.
That's a great line of reasoning, and I never had that. It just felt right. It felt most immediate. It felt most appropriate. And it's like, for me, if I'm telling a story in past tense, I mean, if I'm telling a story, it's a little different. But if I'm writing in past tense, there's that lag, right? Where it's like, you sort of have to do that translation, oh, it happened. And there's a difference between it happened and it's happening. And I wanted that immediacy. Like, it was really important to me, especially in that moment, to have that immediacy of, this is going on and you're under this incredible pressure and this pain. And I didn't want there to be any sort of lag there. I wanted the reader to be right there. But you guys are giving me so much to think about. I just love this question. That's great.
Hi, Allison.
Hi, Tom.
Wow, so formal.
You may have you may have responded to this already, but what I'm thinking about is that from the start of the book until today, there's a process that you went through where you just kept being committed to going deeper and more truthful and more honest. And I like what you just said about you wanted the reader, you kept inviting the reader in to the experience and stuff. So I wanted to, if you could, talk about that process of the decisions that you made along the way that helped get you to where you are today.
Oh, gosh. I mean, there was...
And you have 3 minutes. No.
3 minutes. There were so many decisions. It was like I had to cut out a lot. There was stuff that I wrote that just wasn't going to fit. There was stuff that didn't matter. And when I say didn't matter, of course it mattered to me. But in that narrative arc, it didn't matter. And Adam can tell you about this, when I was first writing it, I had the girl who is not me. And the girl who is not me did all these things that I didn't do and said all these things that I didn't say. And Adam was like, you need to kill that bitch. Just like, get her out. Like, just get rid of her.
So yeah, why did you have, what was your thinking, I mean, way back when, to have the girl who was not you?
Because I was trying to be distant.
Yeah.
That I needed that distance. I needed to be, I mean, when I first started writing about this, I had never talked to anybody about it. Mm-hmm. And so I needed that distance of the girl who is not me to make that translation to that present tense. The girl who is not me was in the past tense. When I killed her, I went into the present tense, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And that was a big one. That was a big one. I mean, I swear we could talk about this for hours. There's so many, but that's a huge one. And what I took from that is, don't try to blunt your message.
Right.
Just deploy the shit out of it, because people will love you for it. I mean, you know I say stuff like that.
You're doing for them what they want to do for themselves, or can probably can.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's, it's so hard. Even as I'm sitting here reading this to you all, I was scared to death when I was reading, and I've read this so many times. It's scary. I want that to be so clear, because I know there are people here who struggle with writing as I do, and it's scary, and it's scary after it's published, but it's so good. I mean, it's like, when you see it, it's really good.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
Hi, Allison. I'm Chris.
Hi, Chris.
I think I'm the only person here who maybe doesn't know you.
You know me now.
Through this process, so I'm sure you've read lots of memoirs along the way, and did you feel any connection to other memoirs that you have read over the time, or did you feel any solidarity through this process that you shared with other people? And at the end of the process, is there any particular stories or lifelines that you connect particularly to?
Oh my gosh, there were so many. One of them that I really liked was Sean Wilsey, and he wrote the Beauty of It All. And he was the I think he was the son of a really wealthy San Francisco guy, Al Wilsey. Yeah, and he was just so down to earth. I mean, he wrote about like whacking off to a stepmother's picture, and I just loved that. I mean, that was Dee Dee Wilsey. She was like this scion of San Francisco society. So I really related to that. And in the same vein, Augustine Burroughs. Adam and I talk about this all the time. There's do you remember which book we're talking about here? It was Magical Thinking. I don't remember, but there's a book where which was Oh, I'm thinking of that one, but I'm also thinking of Augustine Burroughs. He wrote one. It was I think it was running with scissors. Yeah, or we were talking about and we were talking about Sedaris too. There was Burroughs and Sedaris, and the two of them I love these men. Like, they're smart, they're funny, and I could not end this conversation without talking about someone who Thomas and I know well, and that's Wesley Gibson. He was someone who wasn't well known, but he wrote a book called You Are Here. And it was about living in New York as a gay man in the 1980s during the AIDS epidemic. But it was about finding yourself. And what I grew to understand, and anybody in this room who's worked with me will know what I'm going to say, I grew to understand the higher themes. That was the important thing. It's like the story, like every memoir I read was more than itself. It was the story, but it was so much more. It was about all these bigger things that people can relate to. So there were those. I read one recently that I didn't like, and I can tell you about that. And that's Amy Bloom, In Love, which I've talked to both of you guys about. Amy Bloom, her husband died of assisted suicide, and she could have done so fucking much with it. And she didn't. It was like reportage. It was like, this happened, that happened. It was like, come on, Amy, this is tough. Like, let's really go there. And in that same realm, Joyce Maynard, who is one of my mentors, wrote a book called, oh my gosh, The Best of Us. And it was about her husband dying. And it was the absolute opposite. It was like she just totally like rolled in the muck. And that to me was it was a feat. It was incredible. So, I mean, I say read as much as possible. I try really hard. It's really hard with that little guy, but I try, especially with how much he talks.
He has strong opinions about your reading.
He sure does. Hey, he's actually, I'm surprised he's being as quiet as he is, because I swear I was like, oh God.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I think all the questions have been great. Any other ones?
Got another one coming?
Yeah, Ron.
I'm going to take the 7 bus out to you. Here, I'll be there in about 3 hours.
Hi. What did you hope to impart onto your reader, and who was your target audience?
Well, I think the main theme of this all is what makes you feel weird in the world. Like, when you walked in that door tonight, and you don't have to answer me, but you're welcome to when we're having drinks, what made you feel like, okay, I'm different, I'm bizarre, I'm strange, I stand out from all these people? And we all have it. Every single one of us in this room has something that makes us feel weird in the world. So I really wanted to write about that. My target audience was somebody who understood that they were different, but couldn't put their finger on why that should matter and why they should really reckon with that and actually embrace it. That was the person I really wanted to reach. And I wanted to reach that person who has tried to walk in either literally or metaphorically into a room and turned around and walked away. I've done it. I've done it a million times where it's like, oh shit, I can't go in that room. I can't go in there. You know, it's like people yell at the horror films, don't go in there. You know, it's like that. I mean, so I really wanted to reach those people who are scared and questioning and wondering, and just tell them, you know, you're not alone. And it's not really a feel-good thing. It's not a there, it's okay. It's more just like, hey, you know, what makes us different unites us. And that was really important to me. It's an awesome question.
Wonderful answer.
Thank you.
Another question? Yeah.
I was just wondering if you could talk a little bit more about the 17-year journey that got you to this point. It's really a pretty incredible lesson in persistence, which I think a lot of writers could learn a lot from, because sometimes it takes a really long time. And thankfully, because I read your manuscript, before it came out, and it's of course a gorgeous piece of writing and an incredible story. So what made you what was within you, inside of you, that made you just stick with that for so long?
I'm a real stubborn bitch. Like, no lie.
Great answer.
I'm a real stubborn bitch. I'm like, the reality is, and many of you in this room know this, I put this book away a number of times. Like, this wasn't something that I was like, I'm just going to pause here on tangent and say, if any of you have seen Adaptation, that's great. And if you haven't, please go home and see it, because it's fantastic. And there's this part where Susan Orlean is typing, and she's just, and it's so fucking easy for her. And I'm just like, ugh, I want to hit you. Like, it's never been that easy for me. I'm the opposite. There's Nicolas Cage is sitting there writing. He's Charlie Kaufman in the movie, and he's writing, and he's like trying to figure out what the fuck to write. And he's like, banana nut, that's a good muffin. And that's all he can think about. Like, banana nut, that's a fucking good muffin. And he's heard me say this so many times, and I love me some banana nut. But for, it was something that I just knew I needed to say. I wanted to enter the conversation. I would go to readings like this, and I'd walk away really inspired and really pissed at the same time. And I would come home and I'd cry to Adam, why can't that be me? Why can't that be me? And you'd be like, it can. It will. So I have to thank you. Like, it really, and and I'm not trying to be all, but and I have to thank all of you, because so many of you have heard me go off on this. It was a long fucking road, and I think I took out a lot of aggression in graduate school, as Thomas may be able to tell you. Like, I was very confrontational, and I think that was part of wanting to get my story out. And it was just a story that I needed to tell. I needed to say it, and I think when you latch onto that story, you're gonna say it eventually.
Yep.
Thanks.
Any final questions? You guys ready to go to the bar? Y'all, let's show some love for Allison Landa.
Thank you all. And I want to thank Marcus.
No, sure.
Marcus Banks, you're a mensch. Thank you. And Evan.
Oh,
Thank
my
you.
pleasure. It is you. It's tonight. It's happened.
It happened.
It happened.
That's true.
Thank you, everybody. Let's go to the bar.
Thank you all so much for being here.
Adjourned.
Meeting adjourned.
Play's over.